This is a very crucial piece of our investigation.
At the end of the day, he wasn't an important part of this investigation because I didn't even know who he was.
Do you think it's possible Republicans still have other evidence aside from what they had from this informant?
Given that this has been going on and has consumed so much of the Oversight Committee's time and work this year, if they had strong evidence, we would have seen it long, long ago.
Oh, that's gonna hurt!
This is a committee I've served on for several years. It's the committee where I got the Center for Disease Control director to commit to free COVID testing for every American, where I held Big Pharma's feet to the fire. And it's just devolved into this wild goose chase. If Republicans have good evidence, we would have seen it long ago.
Oh, hold on. Are you saying that the past 18 months of hearings on gas stoves?
When are you coming to take my gas stove away? And will I get a 4-hour window, like when Comcast comes to my house or the power company? Because I just want to be home when it happens because I have a dog and I don't want him to be let out by accident. So can we schedule that now? When are you coming?
Public urination in DC, Hunter Biden's laptop haven't been the best usage of time.
I am shocked. Shocked. Well, not that shocked.
But anyway, if you need a wee refresher about what's happened this week, we've seen Republicans flip from this is the most credible informant since Watergate, it's going to bring down the entire empire.
Extremely credible. And based on the bank records that I've been getting, and you and I have been talking about on your show for weeks now, and based on the fact that 9 different Biden family members have been receiving payments from a web of LLCs that are receiving payments from my adversaries around the world, this fits a pattern.
Trusted FBI informant has alleged a bribe to the Biden family.
And a highly credible FBI source alleges that Joe Biden received $5 million in exchange for pressuring for the firing of a Ukrainian prosecutor.
I mean, the case has been cracked, guys. We're just missing the one document the FBI is hiding.
Well, it wasn't that crucial anyway, but hang tight while we try to secretly delete all correspondence with said Russian asset.
But this is the path that they've chosen to take. And honestly, I'm surprised that they have this high of a threshold for humiliation. Every witness that they have called has decimated their arguments, from Devin Archer to Peter Schwerin to Marvin Young. And then we have the guy behind the Holy Grail document, the 1023, Alexander Smirnov, who's found that he had lied, right, about the charges, the $5 million that went to both of them. And then it gets even better. Not only did he lie, he was lying because the Russians were feeding him the disinformation. It's so embarrassing. I think Jamie Raskin was spot on when he said that this impeachment inquiry really ended yesterday when we found out that we have a Russian asset that was foundational to this impeachment inquiry. And Jim Comer and Jim Jordan should maybe try doing something for their constituents and let this go, because it's going nowhere.
Yes, that's right. After the Justice Department announced last week that the informant, a US citizen named Alexander Smirnov, basically made up allegations concerning Hunter and Joe Biden, now Republicans appear to be striking any mention of it from their impeachment correspondence. They deleted a reference to said discredited FBI informant in a letter that they sent on Tuesday to a potential witness in their impeachment inquiry against President Biden. You know, not to overlook the mere fact that according to their Republican colleague Ken Buck from Colorado, Comer and co. were actually well warned as to the credibility of their informant long before they decided to take it to Fox airwaves and unleash literal Russian propaganda onto the public.
This is a very crucial piece of our investigation.
At the end of the day, he wasn't an important part of this investigation because I didn't even know who he was.
Looking at what you said last September, you were condemning your own party's impeachment efforts, saying that Republicans in the House who are itching for an impeachment inquiry are relying on an imagined history. Did you ever think that it would collapse in this spectacular of a fashion?
Well, Caitlin, it's even more of an imagined history now. Obviously, this witness, and we were warned at the time that we received the document outlining this witness's testimony. We were warned that the credibility of this statement was not known. And yet people, my colleagues, went out and talked to the public about how this was credible and how it was damning and how it proved President Biden's at the time, Vice President Biden's complicity in receiving bribes. It appears to absolutely be false.
And when asked about this matter on CNN, California Democrat Katie Porter, well, she did not hold back for a second regarding just how little House Republicans have accomplished while peddling lies and disinformation.
Do you think it's possible Republicans still have other evidence aside from what they had from this informant?
Given that this has been going on and has consumed so much of the Oversight Committee's time and work this year, if they had strong evidence, we would have seen it long, long ago. What the Oversight Committee needs to do is go back to working on behalf of the American people. This is a committee I've served on for several years. It's the committee where I got the Center for Disease Control Director to commit to free COVID testing for every American, where I held Big Pharma's feet to the fire. Even with Republican leadership, we've had productive hearings early in this Congress about topics like unemployment fraud. And it's just devolved into this wild goose chase. If Republicans have good evidence, we would have seen it long ago.
I mean, it is so bad that even Fox News' chief analyst can't help but weigh in on the, quote, do-nothing Republican Party.
I think the Republicans, in the meantime, however, are in danger of losing the advantage they have vis-a-vis Biden on the issue of the border and on the issue of Ukraine funding, Israel funding, funding to defend Taiwan, because they are refusing to act on these measures that would deal with that. Also on the issue of rebuilding America's defenses. So I think that that snapshot that those polling numbers you cited represent may be temporary and are likely to be temporary, in fact, and that the Republicans think of what the Republicans are doing. For example, Kevin, on the border issue, they said that they wouldn't pass aid to Ukraine and other places unless there was action on the border. So the Senate produced a bill negotiated by one of its most conservative Republican members on the border, which had some defects in it, as compromise measures always do. Mm-hmm. And it was nonetheless the strongest border protection bill that I've seen in my time in Washington. And the House simply announced it was not going to take it up, so it failed even in the Senate. Then comes this question of the measures for the funding of Ukraine and elsewhere, and that looks like it's going to go down in the House as well, even though it passed the Senate. So I think these are a couple of issues that put Republicans in peril of looking like literally a do-nothing Congress, which is something you can bet the Biden administration is going to be talking about going forward in the Biden campaign as well.
Amazing. And instead of perhaps taking a moment, to reevaluate a strategy, perhaps, dare I say, even apologize for this giant waste of taxpayer dollars that, for all we know, jeopardized national security as they coddled an alleged Russian informant. But no, they instead opt to double and triple down on their bogus claims.
About the president's involvement in a bribery scheme now that Alexander Smirnov is proven to have made it up and it was based off Russian intelligence.
Doesn't change the four fundamental facts. Hunter Biden was put on the board of Burisma, gets paid $1 million a year. Fact number two, he's not qualified to be on the board. He said so himself in an interview, I don't know, with you or some network. Fact number three, Zolochevsky and Pizarski, the two executives at Burisma, specifically asked Hunter Biden, can you weigh in with D.C. and help us deal with the pressure we are facing from the prosecutor? Fact number four, Joe Biden, then he gets called. Hunter Biden calls his dad, according to Devin Archer, Hunter Biden's business partner. Fact number four, Joe Biden then goes to Ukraine 3 days later and conditions the release of the money, American tax money, on the firing of the prosecutor who was applying the pressure to the company that Hunter Biden sat on the board of.
You said the 1023 is the most corroborating piece of information you have.
It corroborates, but it doesn't change those fundamental facts. So now
but it's not true.
Well, so
used to further investigate off of the information that Tony Bobulinski gave him. This whole thing reeks, and I hope that we get all the information. If Joe Biden's clean, as an American, I want to know that. But I do think we have to do a deep dive into what's happening here inside the Biden administration.
Yeah, and Sean, this did not all center around Smirnov's testimony. I just want to make that point as well.
No, but
Sean,
it was
Jessica,
foundational.
We gotta go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
But here's the thing. Maybe if they dig deep enough down that rabbit hole, they'll finally find Hunter's laptop and the kingdom will be saved once and for all.
Thanks for having me, Abby. Yeah, thoughts and prayers to James Comer and the fake, frivolous, faux Biden impeachment that they've been trying to run. It's been so successful You haven't heard him talk about it for the last couple of weeks. They had to switch to Mayorkas because there's no evidence in Joe Biden. And now what do we find out? What we've known all along, that this 1023 form that they cried over for months and months was all a lie. It was all a lie, and the guy who made it up has been indicted.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.